what's amazing? You are amazing. My goodness. It is so
Thank you.
great to see you. It's such a privilege.
Full house. I mean, maybe there must be a rerun of Saturday Night Live.
I don't think so. I don't think so. You know, we've had a chance to work together before and do this before, but it's a whole new world now, isn't it? This last year, so much has changed. How does it feel? Pretty good, huh?
It still doesn't feel real.
No? Have you been working on anything new lately then?
Well, you know, they're so secretive these days. Back when we were doing the original films, you didn't have that instant media and Twitter and everybody having a cell phone and so forth. Of course, when we did the first one, no one cared.
They care now.
Yeah. But I'm so nervous that I'm going to leak something. You know, I don't even know if I'm allowed to tell people I'm in the movie.
Don't worry, I think they know that. And I mean, so what is the one thing you're looking forward to the most after December 18th?
Well, the new cast members are just incredible. We went to the table read, and they're all so different. You know, they bring such different things to the table.
Right.
Adam and Oscar and John and Daisy. I mean, they're just really, really talented actors, and they're so different and so diverse. Yeah. You know, people said, well, did they ask you for advice? I said, are you kidding? I should ask them for advice.
Well, now I have questions about TFA, as we're calling it right now, that are safe questions. Safe questions, okay? Nothing that will get any of us in trouble.
The Force Awakens. I see.
Force Awakens.
That's the short title.
That's the short. That's your little hashtag.
The original full title was The Force Awakens in a Kansas farmhouse, only to discover it was all a dream.
That's a little long. That's harder to get in that scroll and everything.
No, when I read the title, first of all, I said, is this real? You have to, you know, confirm that it's actually true, because I heard about it like you did on the internet.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. But I went to the website to make sure it was really the title, and that joke occurred to me, and so I tweeted it out, and I said, oh, I hope I got to that joke first.
I think you did, actually. I remember that tweet. But so, now, on Thursday, we all saw it. Had you seen it, you know, like the night before? Carrie had mentioned that she saw it the night before. Was that how it was?
Well, we asked, and I was cleared to tell you that last week I went into Bad Robot and recorded the voiceover. Now, what I said to JJ, did we? Because the voiceover that I did in the teaser, it's called. I said that it's pulled dialogue. I think from Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
But I re-recorded it, and I said, which did you use? Because I couldn't really tell. He said, you know, he's like George. He loves to play in his little, you know, tinker around and play with things. He said, oh, I used both. We used the original track, and then we used the what you recorded last week as reverb, because there's a slight delay. So the delay is the new lines I recorded, and the recording session was interesting because they should have printed the outtakes as back as it was. The Force is strong in my family. I have it. My father had it. I mean, has it. has it. My sister has it. My certified public accountant has it. That weird guy down the street that smells funny has it. That one-eyed raccoon that keeps getting into the trash cans has it. And you have that power too.
So, with that in mind, would you like to see it again?
I think we have a clip.
Okay. Let's take a look.
great about that is that there's so much information there for you to speculate about. You know, the crashed Star Destroyer. I didn't even notice the crashed X-Wing, even when I was, because JJ showed it to me on a small screen, and then I went into the booth to record the lines. I didn't even notice that, because it implies so much that's gone on since Jedi till now. And you know, it's they don't call it a teaser for nothing. They want to tease you.
That's true, and they have, and I think we love it. But you know, okay, so we've got that there. But let's talk a bit about some other things, because you have been very busy, by the way, lately. We had Kingsman out. One I was so excited about just a few days ago, you were back on The Flash.
That's my whole character right there.
How was that, Mark? How was that coming?
Well, it's just, I mean, I was watching The Flash because I said, they got John Wesley Shipp playing Barry Allen's father. I got to watch. So I watched from the first episode, and it's very clever the way they're following Jeff John's storyline, where the father's falsely accused of murder. So it really grabs you from the very first episode. So, you know, I was watching every week, and then they called and said they were interested in having me back. And I'm thinking, well, since I'm a contemporary of John's, maybe I'll be a fellow prisoner, or they'll cast me as a professor or something. I said, who do they want me to play? And when they said the trickster, I said, what? How can that be? Is it some kind of weird time travel thing? You know, and I'm not in bad shape, and I'm not really anxious to get into that one-piece unitary. Nobody should be forced to look at that.
I don't know, you're looking pretty good.
Well, but still, I said, but honestly, I said, you know, let's make it age appropriate. I mean, you know, I couldn't imagine what they had in mind. And then I talked to Andrew Kreisberg, is the guy I spoke to, and when he told me the storyline, I said, oh, that's perfect. I don't know if you saw it, but, you know, James Jesse is in prison doing time for all the mayhem he did back in the 90s, and there's a wannabe trickster, who, by the way, the actor, Devin Gray, I have to tell you, he did something, and they didn't even use the take that really took me aback, because the very last scene we did was the scene in the trickster's lair where we have John Wesley Shipp tied to the chair. And before we went up to do that scene, they had me go down and do what they call an EPK, an electronic press kit, where you talk about the episode, and that's going to go on the extras when it comes out as a DVD. So, you know, I don't even know if I brought up Devin, but I go up to do that scene. And by the way, at the table read, I did the line, I am your daddy. Because I thought maybe it should be just a little off from that, but as it turns out, they really wanted me to do that homage to Empire. But what I have to tell you is they did my close-ups first, and then they went over my shoulder onto Devin, and Devin did this take that I was just unprepared for, because he was just so nakedly damaged and just so, it was so moving to me. I mean, it made me feel silly that I was playing this crazy kind of comic book nut, and he just brought it down to reality, where he was just a really damaged individual. And the tears were flowing. I was just knocked back. I think he's just incredible. And then, of course, when I saw the finished product, maybe they thought it was too much because they didn't use that take. But he's absolutely spectacular. I couldn't. And when I read the script, I was very much in character. I go, wait a minute, who's this wannabe trickster? You know, he's stealing all my stuff. I sort of reacted in character. You know, I didn't like the idea of another trickster. I said, can't you at least spell his name with an X so you can, because they spelled it just the same way as they spelled mine. But,
you know, we do have that clip if you want to take a look at it. Let's take a look.
There's just one thing I've been dying to ask. Why did you choose me?
Because I knew you had the strength to fulfill my legacy. Besides, it was in your blood.
What do you mean in my blood?
The real reason I tracked you down and groomed you to be the best you could possibly be, Axel. I am your father.
Oh my God.
That's great stuff.
It's so creepy. It's very Dracula and Renfield, you know, with him praying over him like, oh, it's creepy. And the Godfather kiss. You know, one thing I loved about The Flash was they were really collaborative. Just like when I did it, I should mention Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo, because if it weren't for them, I never would have been in the show. April Webster was the casting director, but I really owe so much to Danny and Paul. And they were really open to my collaboration. They let me put things in the original. In this one, some of my favorite things were unscripted, like when they come to the jail and say, do you know where he is? The line originally was, if I knew where he was, I would tell you so you could find him. And then I waited until they rolled camera.
Yeah.
And when they said, you know where he is, I said, if I knew where he was, I would tell you so you could find him, cut off his head and throw it right in his face. And I love that, because it's just so bizarre and odd. It's such a violent image, and then it ends with
A nice little twist.
Yeah, but they were letting me do that. I mean, actors generally like to pad their lines because, you know, at one point I said, when you find this fake, and of course when they roll, I said, when you find this shtick stealer, this gimmick grabber, this pathetic wannabe, and they pad it,
Get to play. Like Adam West on the old Batman used to pad his lines.
Is that right? Okay.
So now, speaking of
love Adam West.
Going back, way back, let's go back to the original trilogy for a moment. If I could just ask you some questions
Sure.
here and give me some answers that, you know, you've probably never been asked before.
Did you ever dream that Star Wars would be such a great success?
No.
I knew.
Yes. Most fond memory about making A New Hope?
Well, it was just all so new to me. I'd never been, I did go to high school in Japan because my father was in the Navy, but I'd never been to England, I'd never been to North Africa. To work with Sir Alec Guinness, I mean, when I met him, I thought if I try and speak, oh my gosh, he was just, I mean, he was everything you wanted to be. He was just like, just the most wonderful grandfather. He was so wise and so great. He asked me out to lunch so we could get to know each other before we went to Africa. And of course at lunch, I mean, like I said, I got all choked up. Like if I open my mouth, I'm gonna cry like a little girl or something. I got all choked up. And, you know, I was wanting to talk about the Lavender Hill Mob and the Lady Killers and the Horse's Mouth and Bridge on the River Kwai and all these things. No. I want to talk about your career. And I go, really? You want to hear about a dog food commercial and a soap opera? And I kept calling him Sir Alec. Sir Alec. He said, yeah, one time when I said Sir Alec, he reached out and went, tap, tap, slap. And I went, what? He said, I want to be known by my name, not my accolade. I said, oh really? How would I call you Big Al? He liked that. See, he loved, once I got over my, you know, being so starstruck, he loved American humor, he loved irreverence, he loved that kind of thing. His Lady Guinness was sketching one time a mosque in Tunisia, and one of the Bedouins that they hired to be, set security or whatever, looked at what she was doing and started screaming, and pulled the tablet she was drawing on, and ripped it up in anger and stomped off. And Lady Guinness and Sir Alec and I were all sort of astonished. And he said, "Who could that have been?" And I had the presence of mind because I thought of the joke immediately. I said, "I have no idea, unless maybe it was a local art critic." What it was she was sketching a sacred mosque,
sacred thing that
you're not supposed to do in that religion.
But you had the best punchline. That was pretty good.
Well, I couldn't keep it in the thought bubble, you know. I had to say it. And again, he restrained from laughing because it would have hurt her feelings. But later he said, "That was very funny."
How about Peter Cushing? Peter Cushing, you never really had scenes together.
I had no scenes with Peter Cushing. When I saw him on the call sheet, I said, "I have to come in that day. I have to come in." Because like, oh my God. Can you imagine what it was like? Because I grew up, you know, reading Famous Monsters magazine and seeing all those Hammer movies. And what a versatile actor. He could play everything from evil Dr. Frankenstein to Sherlock Holmes. He was just the epitome of he had such grace and such dignity. When he smoked, he wore this lavender glove. And I said to the makeup lady, "Why does he do that?" He said, "Because he doesn't want to transfer the nicotine smell onto when he shakes other people's hands." I said, "Oh my God, what a class act." And,
wonderful.
So I went in, and again, I'm a Mr. Fanboy. He was really surprised because I knew that he had played, he was in A Chump at Oxford with Laurel and Hardy. In fact, he came over here as a very young man. His very first role was in The Man in the Iron Mask with Louis Hayward. And since Louis Hayward was playing twins,
sure.
Cushing would play the part that wasn't going to be used.
It wasn't on camera.
Then he'd switch, and then Louis would do the other part. And he said it was really wonderful because I got used to the cameras and the lights and doing what I had to do, knowing that I would be cut out. So I wasn't nervous at all. And you know, of course, I was thrilled that he'd worked with Laurel and Hardy. And I said, "Why did you leave? I mean, why didn't you stay?" Because most British actors, when they come to America, they don't go back. But because of World War II,
that's why
he's
he
a
went
very loyal Englishman, of course.
Wow. And then we move to Empire Strikes Back, and it becomes a whole new world. When you think of that film, is there anything that comes to mind right off the bat that you just think of, you know, fun or excitement, or what is it?
One word: Yoda. I read this script, and you have to understand, the script really conveyed what the movie was going to be like. Even without the special effects, the humor was there, you know, the suspense was there, the excitement, even in all the descriptions. And when I read that scene, where I think of him as just like I don't know, like a frog man or something, you know, get off my stuff, I'm looking for a great master, and the whole idea that it could be, you know, so unexpected that he would be what he was. And then of course I was wondering how they were going to do it. You know, they talked about crazy things like having a monkey in a mask or whatever. Seriously, they did some crazy
would have been
brainstorming.
That would have been good.
But when Stuart Freeborn made the puppet, which resembles him quite honestly.
Did he mold it after himself purposely, or did that just happen as an artist?
Well, see, he didn't even think it was unintentional.
It was unintentional.
That's what he said. That's what. But what I'd have to tell you is when Frank put that puppet on his hand, because they asked me to come in on the weekend and work on a Saturday and a Sunday before we started filming. And the minute he started, and I was just transfixed. I believed in it so wholeheartedly, you know, masterful acting on the part of Frank Oz.
Andy and Kathy. And now, I noticed he doesn't have a microphone on. Were you hearing his lines? Was he just having to speak them loudly, or were they amplified?
I had an earpiece.
Okay.
And so I was up above, and they were down in trenches, see?
Yeah.
And so I had a little earpiece in, and I would hear his lines if he was in. The trouble was, if you walked out of a radio range, you could pick up radio.
The local radio
The local radio stations. So he, at one point, he's like, many years, and I mean, Trent went right from Yoda to the Stones, see, ooh, ooh, baby, you're a fool tonight. And so I laughed, and Kirshner said, Tyler, I said, what? I said, I'm getting the Stones in my ear. And I'm a big fan, but I want to focus on it. But he said, look, there's so many problems with this puppet. No matter what happens, don't laugh. I mean, because we heard other songs. Another song that was popular then was More, 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 how do you like it, how do you like it? And they, it was top 40 radio, so it was coming in my ears. But I learned, even if I heard that, to just keep a straight face and wait till his mouth stopped moving and then do my next line. So no matter what was going on, because they were desperate because the puppet was giving us so much trouble. In fact, when you see the movie, if it's me looking, if it's close-ups, it's just a stick with a piece of tape in it. They would run the mechanical puppet up to the workshop and work on it, and I do all my scenes with a stick with a piece of tape on it, and then they did over the shoulder, that was the mock. That wasn't articulated. It was just
like a statue almost, or like
exactly. So, but that's, everyone said, well, is that really hard? I said, well, it's like make-believe, like when you were a kid. I mean, being in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon was no different than Texas Wheelers, where we would be in our pickup truck, a cutout pickup truck on the stage where they're rocking it and the lights are going by. It's just it's all
play.
Yes,
it's all
exactly.
fun, and it comes together. And then you move to Return of the Jedi.
Right.
What did you think about that final meeting and doing those scenes with the all-powerful Emperor Ian McDiarmid? We had him here on the first night.
When I would come in, I'd have like a 7 a.m. call to be ready on set at 8. And by the time I got there, Ian had been there for hours getting made up. And I realized after a certain amount of time, I said, if we don't have Ian out to the house or see him, outside shooting, I'm never going to know what he looks like. Because when the shooting day was over, I'd jump in the shower and just wash my makeup off and I'd be out of there in half an hour. It took another hour and a half to get him out of that stuff. See? So Mary Lou and I had him out to the house for a Sunday brunch, and up the steps walks this guy that he was, with red hair. I don't know.
You brought a picture, actually.
Okay.
You were kind enough to bring a picture. I think, do we have that picture of all of you together there? Let's look. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
And that's Dennis Lawson and his Wedge. And Ian, now remember, from the movie, he's all sort of old and crotchety.
Yeah.
And there he is, what a shock.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
Thank you for bringing that, showing that out of the personal archives there. It's
That's
really
right,
neat.
yeah.
Well, he had nothing but wonderful things to say about you and working with you as well.
Yeah. Now, everybody got along. I loved everybody. It was just like, there wasn't a single person in the cast that I didn't get along with, and even people that only had a day or two on the film, I made sure, because I remember when we were going to get our medals at the end of the first one, we went to Shepperton because they had a big enough sound stage, the James Bond stage is called that now, but we're walking down to get our medals, and all the guys are lined up on either side, okay? But remember, there's rows
Big
and
rows of people.
And as we're walking along, all those actors, as we're walking along, we're doing things like, wanker. Yanks. I mean, they were saying insults under their breath.
They were saying them to you.
As we were walking. And, Harrison was like, let me just check those guys. And I said, well, wait a minute. before we start an international incident, let me go over and talk to them because they were all having coffee, and I went over to them and I said, "Have they even told you what's going on in the storyline?" They said, "Oh, they don't tell us nothing." And I said, "Well, you guys just saved the galaxy. You know, it's a science fiction movie, and it's the end of the movie, and all of you guys were the people that brought the bad guys down." So the minute they heard that, all the insults went away. You just have to involve them a little to give them an understanding. Because I love the fact that in England they call them background artistes. Here we call them extras. I mean, where's the respect in that? It sounds like something that, you know, like air conditioning or bucket seats. You know, something that you don't really need. Background artists really sort of says it, because I think of everything in the picture is important.
Yeah.
And when you see background people in restaurants and so forth, that's a skill all into itself.
Because they have to have a conversation without having a conversation.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, they're just...
Taylor have it. You have it. We all have it, don't we? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, time to carefully talk about TFA. Mark, I promise to not ask anything to get you or me in trouble, okay?
Okay.
So, tell us about...
Because people trick you. I was online today and the guy goes, "Well, by the way, do you have the same lightsaber in episode 7 that you had in the last one?" And I'm like, "Hey, wait a minute. Missed it by that much."
Mark that one off then,
So you almost got me.
Yeah, had that first
Okay, yeah.
Tell us about how you were first approached about doing the film. Did you get a phone call, like Carrie got a phone call?
No, what happened was we were at some Star Wars event that George was at, and George Lucas asked us through his people to have lunch with him. And so I'm saying to Mary Lou, I said, "What do you think of George?" I mean, because if George asked you to lunch, there's something big going on. And I remember she said, "Maybe he's going to do another trilogy." And I laughed. Because George had told me specifically he wasn't doing anything after the prequels. He said, "No, I don't want to be doing these things in my 70s. And I said, "No, I could get that." But I thought, you know, well, even if they do another trilogy, it'll be about another generation. And I had a beginning, a middle, and end. My story was finished. And so I said to her, I laughed. I said, "Oh, he told it for 20 or whatever long it was. For years and years and years. He's not going to do another trilogy." I said, "You know what's happening is they're doing these things in 3D. He's probably going to ask us to do press for that.
Sure.
Or they're going to put it out in another variation, you know, another box set."
If we will all buy...
How many times do I have to buy this thing?
As much as it takes, right? As much as it takes.
I'm all in. I said, "Look, even with the holiday special, put that on as an extra." Yeah, everybody was embarrassed about it, but I said, "Look, it keeps us humble. It shows us that we're not infallible, that we stumble and make mistakes too. I mean, it's just, it's a fun thing." So no, anyway, so he said, "Let's have lunch." And when we went to have lunch, I knew something was really special because he disinvited my daughter, Chelsea. He said, "Chelsea can go have lunch with my daughter, and it's just going to be Carrie and my wife and George, and that's all." And so, and you know how George, he's just so, basically, I'm moving on, and I'm going to be leaving Lucasfilm, and Kevin Kenny's going to be taking over, and we're thinking we're going to do another trilogy. And and now, if you don't want to be in it, we won't recast. You know, we'll write you out of it. And so, like, I'm keeping this poker face, but inside I'm going, "Why?" Because That's how I knew I was a good actor, because on the outside I was completely placid. And Carrie went, I'm in! Is there a part for Billy in it? That's your daughter. And so I'm thinking, like, I'll take it under consideration. But the truth of the matter is, I was in a state of shock. And I thought, how could this be?
Yeah.
I couldn't say yes or no. But what was really interesting was later I thought, it's not like a choice. It's like it was like I was drafted. If for some reason I said, I don't think I want to do it, I would have all of you surrounding my house like villagers. Angry villagers with lightsabers instead of torches. I'd sort of be like the most hated person in fandom. Oh, you're too cool for school. Come back and do episode 7. That reminds me of the Simpsons episode. So, you know, yes, I want to talk about Star Wars, but I'm here to talk about Sprint. Remember that moment? Yeah. Can't talk about Star Wars. Shut up, you nerds. He's trying to save you money on long distance. See, that was one of my favorite spin-offs from Star Wars, was doing The Simpsons. I mean, I was a fan since the Tracy Ullman shorts.
Yeah. And it's your picture on your little picture avatar on Twitter and such too.
Yes.
So we can follow you on Twitter, correct?
Yeah, Hamill himself.
Hamill himself.
And I did the Simpsons picture because, I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite things, and he looked, the cartoon looks much more handsome than
So, okay, let's go to another question. How did it feel to be back on a practical working Star Wars set? You know?
Well, see, now here's the thing that I love, is that this film is the first of the Star Wars films that's actually in the hands of someone who grew out of fandom, see?
Yeah.
So he feels the way you feel in terms of wanting practical effects, real sets.
J.J. Abrams, how was it working with him then? Was this the first time you two had worked together?
Yeah, and well, he's just really, I was a little suspicious, because wait a minute, is that a Star Trek guy? Listen, I like Star Trek. I mean, I'm friends with Fred Spiner, and there's no rivalry whatsoever, but I thought it just seems odd, and not that I was predisposed to dislike him, I was just sort of cautious about it. But he's really a personal guy. He's really easy to talk to. He's very inclusive in terms of listening to your ideas, and instead of being adamant, it's got to be this way. So I mean, he's lovable. I mean, what can I say? You know, and I like that he's diminutive. You know, because the bully side of me, I have the urge to get him into a headlock and give him nookies. But
that's why you let me interview you sometimes too. Backstage. Yeah, you get out of here.
No.
Here is the most important question about TFA. What was the best food on the set? Best food on the set.
Well, it is England.
Yeah.
They just wrote their own jokes. No. I mean, but everything is different now because they are much more health conscious and they have a lot of good things. And besides, I mean, they put me on this regimented diet and I'm training and I'm doing all this stuff because I was getting more weight. I mean, being a voiceover artist, you sort of forget what you know, you're not on camera. You can show up looking like a slob. You don't have to shave.
Yeah.
If you don't have to memorize your lines, you read your lines. It's the ultimate lazy actors. Wait up. I'll take over your show. I want to be behind that desk. You sit in this chair. No, listen, I don't mean it that way. What I'm saying is, it's just, when I first did voiceover, I thought, oh my God, this is so close to radio, theater of the mind, where you don't have to resemble the way your character looks.
Sure.
I mean, you have a resonant voice. You know everybody from Michael J. Fox to, your Obi-Wan and Clone Wars. And you know, what I'm saying is that you do these scenes. I remember we did a Batman where it was a scene where Joker and Batman get into fisticuffs in a helicopter. The helicopter crashes into a casino. It slides across the floor with people fleeing and explosions. Also. When I'm reading the script, if this were a live-action film, this could be weeks and weeks of filming. First of all, you'd have to do all these stunt rehearsals with the stunt guys. Sure. You'd have green screen, you'd have miniatures. I mean, we did it in like 15 minutes. Like, yeah, you know, it was just, yeah, and you're done. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I really am protective of the voiceover community because people think, oh, they just do funny voices. No, they're really good actors. I mean, I go when I'm a fan, and I'm telling you go to these sessions, and you're just astonished at the talent. You know, I mean, I'm a great audience, and I go in and with
Jim Cummings,
Taylor, Maurice LaMarche, Billy West, and Rob Paulson, Jeff Bennett, and Tress MacNeille, and Tara Strong, all of these people, you think, where, I mean, they have hundreds of characters inside of them. It's so entertaining. I mean, when I go to a regular show, I just laugh for 4 hours. Well, not as Skips. He's so, you know, he's so deadpan.
What does he sound like?
It's like, okay, Skips is like, hey, you guys, stop acting like morons. This is bad. This is very, very bad. But sometimes they say, oh, you're putting too much emotion in it. He's so deadpan that, you know, I love the fact that this 800-year-old Yeti is the most responsible character on the show. Because they are, and what a cast. William Sawyers as Rigby just does this wonderful, clueless character, one of my favorite episodes, where he talked me into go on a dating show. And I said, but I won't know what to say. He said, well, don't worry. And the ruse was, I was gonna pose as a ventriloquist, and Rigby would be my dummy, so he could answer all the questions for me. I don't know. I read the first couple of scripts. I said, this is so bizarre. It'll be canceled in 3 episodes. We're in our 6th season, and won an Emmy.
Hey, speaking of Emmys, you are up for an Emmy for your role in a little show called The Clone Wars.
How did that happen? Now, I'm embarrassed because, I mean, between Tom Kane and you and all these people on the show.
No, Mark. This was, has everybody seen that scene? Have you seen Darth Vader? Has anybody not seen that? You want to see it?
Why do you come to my tomb, Jedi?
To learn.
Do you know who I am?
Yes. Darth Vader, the ancient Sith Lord, you are.
And know why I am not forgotten.
Created the rule of 2. You did.
The Sith killed each other, victims of their own greed. But from the ashes of destruction, I was the last survivor. I chose to pass my knowledge on to only one. I created a legacy so resilient that now you come before me. Have you come to be my apprentice? You must kill me to gain my place.
Dead you are already.
Then what's
show, and here I come in and do that one scene. I was done in half an hour, and you know, when they said you got nominated for an Emmy, and I tried to guess what, they said, don't even bother trying. It's for Clone Wars. I said, you're kidding. And they sent me the list of actors I'm nominated against. It's Dick Van Dyke, Christopher Lloyd, Megan Mullally. I'm the only one on the list I've never heard of. And also, I mean, the idea of like winning over Dick Van Dyke seems vaguely un-American. He's like one of my idols, and I'm just so thrilled. You know, these award things, it's more, I think, for, they're important in the sense that, like, Oscars will make more people go see the film, or Tonys will help the box office of theater. You can't really choose between, you know, how do you compare something I would do to something that Megan Mullally would do, or that Dick Van Dyke would do? It's just crazy, but you never know. I mean, I'm sure I'm not going to win, but I said that because I had been nominated for Joker over the years, a couple of times for the Annies. I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm just trying to tell you that also I got nominated a couple of times for the VGA. So like 4 or 5 times I've been nominated for the Joker, and I always lose, which is, you know, that's the way of the world. But and it's no big deal. But the last time I was nominated for the Joker, I had just lost to Stephen Merchant, who's a wonderful British actor. He's Ricky Gervais's partner. For, I can't remember the video game he was for. Okay.
Portal 2.
Okay, trying to stump you guys. You know, so, and he won at the VGAs, and that was in Culver City, so I was back at my house in 45 minutes. The next time they called, they said, oh, you've been nominated for a BAFTA, which is the British Academy of Film and Television Arts. And I said, well, who am I nominated against? They said, well, Stephen Merchant. I said, okay, stop right there. He just beat me last month, and it took me 45 minutes both ways. I'm not going 6,000 miles to England to get beat by him again. And he's British.
And he's British.
So you know he's going to win.
You don't have a chance.
I don't have a chance. So no. I didn't go. And my wife said, oh, come on, let's go. We can go shopping. Like, I said, who are you talking to? You'd be talking to Chelsea. She's your shopping buddy. But, so I didn't go, and I was pulling into the driveway, and my phone rings. I said, hello. And it was Paul Crocker, who was one of the major directors and writers of Arkham. And he said, hey, Mark, it's Paul Crocker. You won, mate. I said, what? You won a BAFTA. I said, you're kidding. I said, well, I feel terrible that I wasn't there. He said, no, I'll accept it for you. And I got to admit, I've had a few drinks. I said, well, I hope you didn't embarrass yourself. And he said, no. You can see it on YouTube. You better mind yourself, because everything's going to wind up on YouTube eventually. But
that's right.
Yeah, so
and speaking of YouTube, would it be all right if we took some questions from all these fine
Sure,
folks
love
here?
it.
And they can put that, they'll see that on YouTube and go, I talked to Mark Hamill. So let's open up the floor to questions. Where is Mark?
James, I'm right up the middle, in the nosebleed.
Yes, wait.
Can you see me?
Yes. So where is
I'm giving the nosebleed some love.
Mark, you see up there by the green lightsaber?
Oh yeah.
I threw my back out also. I've got Paulina up here.
Paul Dini?
No. Not Paulina.
Hi, I'm Paulina.
Paulina.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God.
Be great. What's your question, my dear?
So you've been to a lot of conventions, I know. I'm just wondering, what's your most awkward run-in with a fan?
Well, you know, and I said this before. I mean, if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, I've never taken fans for granted because, you know, I've had highs and lows, and you know, the support you guys give us really sees us through a lot of hard times. I know, awkward. I don't know. It's well, you know, like. You'll meet someone and he'll say, I invited you to my 11th birthday party. you never wrote back. And I said, I'm sorry, how old are you now? 33. Wow, that's 22 years of hatred building up. So you can't do everything that you'd like to do. But somebody showed me a letter I wrote them back when I was on Texas Wheelers, a fan letter where I was writing saying, watch Texas Wheelers and tell all your friends. Of course, I didn't say that we were canceled after 4 episodes. But for the most part, I mean, like I say, you guys feel like it's like you're known everywhere. In airports and far-flung countries of the world. My wife and I went to Tahiti for our honeymoon. Just thought we could get as far away from all the craziness as we could. And we were on a little hut that was built right on the water. And she was inside doing something, and I was sunning myself. And I see this little dot on the horizon, a motorboat. It's coming closer and closer. Oh no. And as it gets big enough for that I could see, it's being driven by Darth Vader. I said, honey, come out here. You're not going to believe it. And it turned out that they were making another film there, Hurricane. Dino De Laurentiis was doing a Hurricane. The same, one of the same guys on the crew had worked on the Star Wars films, and they tipped this guy off. And he had just been to Hawaii and bought a Darth Vader mask. He said, you think that'd be funny? If I did that to Mark and Mary Lou, and it was funny, but funnier in retrospect than at the time, because we were stunned.
But it's a great story now, though, doesn't it?
It does. You can't go anywhere, I mean, I'm sure they're like isolated indigenous populations deep in the jungles where if you got to their village, they go, look! It's not a bad thing. I mean, it's really like a really wonderful thing in the sense that's why I was talking about you guys being sort of like extended family, because you're all feel like you know me and welcome me and are so nice wherever we go. It's just fantastic. Yeah.
So Lindsay's over there. Who do you have, Lindsay?
This is Jennifer from California.
Hi, Jennifer. What's your question for Mark Hamill?
Well, I have done voice work, and I'm trying to move forward, and this whole night has just been such a blessing, and I'm so thankful for you, for James. It's just been like a master class in voice work and all these things. But Mark, I wanted to get some of your tips as far as training, elocution, things that you would suggest as far as moving forward in vocal work.
Okay. Well, first of all, you have to know what's out there. So watch a lot of cartoons. Go to Cartoon Network. I've always, all my life, been a fan of animation. Heck, my son's name is Nathan Elias Hamill, in homage to Walter Elias Disney. I mean, I remember when I was like 6 years old seeing a Disney show where they showed Clarence Nash doing Donald Duck, and then that woman that was doing the clucking out there. And I was mesmerized. I mean, it was the first time I realized that there was a connection between a real life job where you go to work and do a cartoon, because you think these things just emerge full blown and you don't really think about it. So get out there and watch everything to know what's out there. Yep. Also figure out what your highs and lows are. I can hear from just your speaking voice, and you're probably a really good commercial voiceover person, because there's two separate fields. There's anything you hear on the radio or on television where you don't see a person but you hear talking, that's commercial voiceover. Yes. And, luxury, whatever, And I do much more animation than I do that commercial voiceover.
Does some great stuff though in commercial work as well. But another thing you can do is go to D. Bradley Baker's site, the voice of all the clones and the Clone Wars. It's iwannabeavoiceactor.com. Check that out. He put that together for free as a service because he gets asked so often the same question. iwannabeavoiceactor.com. You'll find out so much information, and it's from D. Bradley Baker, the genius voice actor out there.
And speaking of being a fan of animation all my life, I hope you notice the socks I'm wearing. That's Boris Badenoff.
Booties.
Now, see, I don't want you to always say, see, that's a clue. He is going to the dark side in the next movie. No. I'm just a big fan of Rocky and Bullwinkle, and specifically Paul Frees.
Those are so great.
Who did that voice.
Hey, Mark, can I show you my shoes?
Yeah. Let's have a shoe off.
So look at this. These shoes were done by a very talented artist, Joe Hogan.
Yeah.
And he is a great artist. And it's Luke Skywalker. I don't know if you guys got that. And then Luke Skywalker right there. Joe's here. Where's Joe? Right over there. Stand up.
Fantastic. I'm so honored. I have a pair of Joker shoes too. Have you seen those? You really made it when they have a shoe that's designed after one of the characters you've done.
Pretty awesome stuff. Sign the shoe. Oh, they want you to sign the shoes. I didn't bring a Sharpie out though. That's the problem. I'm sorry. So. Thanks, Dad.
All right, let's get it done.
Well, here, you sit in the chair. I'll do this so you don't have to. It's ridiculous here.
All right.
You can sign. Go sign on that.
Okay. Now, I don't want these to show up on eBay.
No, I promise. These are going in a glass. Look at that.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mark Hamill.
Oh!